entered the US legally, but you've overstayed and you want to get a green card in the US, unless an exception applies, and it's going to happen in very limited circumstances, the only way that you can apply for a green card and remain in the US, even if you've overstayed your visa, is if you marry a US citizen, your parent is a US citizen, and you're under 21 years old and unmarried, or you are a parent of a US citizen child who's over 21 years old. It's only in those situations that you can stay in the US and get your green card, even if you've overstayed. I've had several consultations recently where somebody wants to get a green card and their US citizen sibling has petitioned for them and they want to be able to remain in the US to get a green card. Unless an exception applies, and like I said, it's going to be in very limited circumstances, that person cannot remain in the US and get a green card through their US citizen sibling. This also applies if the person has a US citizen parent and the person is now over 21 years old and they have a US citizen parent who wants to petition for them. In that scenario as well, that person will not be able to apply for a green card in the US. And the reason why is because in those situations, a sibling of a US citizen and an adult child over 21 years old of a US citizen parent is not considered an immediate relative. In those situations, the only way that the person would be able to get a green card is if they left the US and interviewed at a US consulate. Depending on how long they've been in the US past their visa stay, so it's what we call unlawful presence. So if they've accumulated over a certain time of unlawful presence in the US, then if they leave the US, they could be subject to either the 3-year bar or the 10-year bar. As I mentioned, there may be some scenarios where an exception applies, but they're usually in very limited circumstances. If you're somebody who's in this situation and you want to know more, you can schedule a consultation through the link in my bio or by calling my office, and that information is also in my bio.